Hey coaches, I'm gonna talk about something that I just think is invaluable as mostly a defensive side of the ball, a coordinator or often, or excuse me, assistants, defensive line, whatever it might be, and that's scout. So again, it works for both sides. You'd find it in team development and scout. I just think as someone who's run a lot of JV versus varsity offensive scout, where I'm, putting here's the play, hey team, like here's a drawing that I'm holding up on a piece of paper. This gives a team a way to say, hey, this is what we've run before. This is what it looks like. So I don't know if I have a ton of great examples here. Let's see what we can find. So let me see if I can do uh, split split zone, and let's see what we got out here. Whatever, we'll just take this one. So now I have a picture of how perhaps the other team runs a split zone. Perhaps this is one that we've drawn up for ourselves. And I'm going to take on the defense, I'm going to take one and say, I feel like I just saw one. So, okay, here we go. Oh, this is just right zone, but whatever, it's close enough. So now I have an item that is, I've got two zones against each other here. And perhaps, coming from it as a defensive coordinator, a lot of times you're creating these scout cards, you've got this film, you know what you need the offense, really your JV offense to do, but you're handing this to them almost blind, right? Like they're getting a little image, but if you could come in here and say, "Hey, here's a piece of film of how your team, how our team runs virtually the same play," right? Again, let's say I'd picked a zone for this, and why don't we just do that? I chose split zone, but really what we need is zone, and let's just do zone read. Whatever, dart zone read. Okay, so this one is coming from our playbook, and we're able to say, okay, here's how we run dart zone read, right? This is images that we have. Okay, now here's the film from the other team that our defense needs to handle. So now I can say to my JV, look, we absolutely run this play. If you can't understand it, go back in here and you'll see our video, whatever. The last thing is in a situation where I have places where I want to see both or they're combined. So let's say I take some clips that are similar, I can put them into a file that's a combined file, or perhaps I drew up the scout card exactly how I expect to see it. So now here's the perfect scout card, but I've given you examples of everything. A good example that I've seen is a team playing Flood. Week one covered it just fine. Week two, did not look like a good football team covering Flood. And then week three, being able to say, like, look, here's the film from week one where we covered it well. Here's the film from week two where we did not do that. Here's the combined file of what we expect to see this week. Perhaps it's a similar, maybe I cut up week one plus week three expected film, or maybe I just draw it out and I can go to my JV offense and say, this is how they handled it. Here's film of it happening, be ready to do it, and send them, rather again than a piece of paper that I hold up for kids who are really still learning a lot. I can say, look, here's the film. You should have seen this and be prepared to run it like this. Yeah, you're still a JV kid going up against a team that's probably going to crush you, but at least you know your assignments and it's not going to be 14 hours of like, oh, well, this was terrible because he's just lined up in the wrong place, or this kid has never run this play before. At least they've seen it. And in a lot of situations, like so many of our offenses are very flexible. In a lot of situations, you can, again, as a JV coordinator, and be like, hey, this is our power right, and we're running it out of our tray formation. Yes, our JV team doesn't run tray very often. And, yes, when we rarely run power, but it's already in our playbook. It's already something that you should be able to find and know, and I can pull it up as a coach and say, like, hey, this is ours. So there you go. That's scout cards. Again, works both ways. I just think the ability to be able to say, here's what it is. And even if you never really even share it with your JV, you can say, look, this is week one. This is week two. This is the film for next week. Know all of them, know what we made mistakes on, know what we did right. And, you can add more than just one picture. You can add whatever you want, a bunch of videos, you can add PDFs, all those things. Again, team development, Scout.